So I'm here with Sunday Morning. They all went to Coggins Regional High School and they kick ass. So I'm going to introduce them, or they're going to introduce themselves and what they play in the band.
My name's Parker. I play bass in the band.
My name's Dan. I do guitar and vocals.
My name's Wes. I play guitar and I sing.
I'm Eric and I play drums.
All right, so I want to start at the beginning of Sunday Morning. How did you guys get together and form a band?
So originally it was myself, Wes, and Wes's brother Paul Benjunas, who also graduated with Dan and I at Coggins. And as things started to go on, we picked up a guitarist, and he left within probably 6 months. Wes wanted to play guitar more, so he jumped into that spotlight. Dan just started to do so much better at guitar and singing that once Paul kind of started to fall back a little bit more, Dan just kind of took over. And it ended up being that Wes and Dan were going back and forth on different vocal parts, and we finally found Eric, who was like the missing piece of the band all in all.
All right, so what influenced you guys to pick up your respective instruments? What bands? What people?
A lot of my influence is a lot of 90s stuff, but I actually remember the movie that made me want to start playing guitar again. I played when I was 10 and 11 and dropped it. I wasn't that into it. And then when I was 18, I saw Across the Universe, which is the musical movie about all the Beatles songs. And I saw, I forgot, the guitarist in the video. He was playing A Day in the Life on the guitar, he was playing the melody on the guitar. And then ever since then, that made me want to play guitar. And then from there, I've always been influenced by Green Day and then just simple 3 power chord songs. So it kind of went from there.
You guys?
Yeah, mostly 90s stuff. I grew up on Green Day and Blink-182. But as I got older, bands like Brand New and even metal bands too really made me realize that there's so much you could do on guitar and there's so much that I could learn personally. So I guess as time went on, the bands I listened to started matured in a way and became more complex and stuff, and that's pretty much what made me want to play guitar.
So how does growing up in a small town like Durham and Middlefield influence your guys' attitude towards music and art and stuff like that?
It's we have to work 10 times harder than anyone else. Because just being in Durham and stuff, it's just Connecticut in general. There's not really a big punk scene right now, or
it's not really a big music scene for the most part. A lot of times when people start doing music here, they go out of state. They do it for a little bit and then they go, okay, there's nothing here, and then they take off. So
it's just you just got to work 10 times harder than every other band.
So when writing your songs, I read on your Facebook page you guys write meaningful lyrics. So walk me through the lyric writing process.
You want to take that one? You think?
Some of it comes from, more recently we've been writing songs together. A lot of times Wes and I will write a song acoustic by ourselves. I'll write one, or he'll write one, or him and I will both write one together, and then we'll bring it to the band and we'll start crafting it from there. And as far as lyrics goes, a lot of it is just things yet again, him and I will come up with melodies on our own playing acoustics, you know what I mean? And it'll kind of just be songs that mean things to us, and it goes from there. It could stem from anything,
So when you guys play live, what do you really want to get out of a live show? What satisfies you guys as live musicians out of a live show?
Energy.
Yeah, energy.
Absolutely.
Crowd reaction is a big one for me. I feel I feel a crowd getting into the music, and I kind of feed off that too.
It definitely it snowballs. Once the crowd's in it, we're in it, and then we're more in it. The crowd gets more in it. It definitely is a snowball effect.
Do people mosh at your shows?
Sometimes, every once in a while.
Definitely had a couple.
Yeah,
At least
we've had
two.
a few. Definitely.
So what is the greatest live show you ever played? Was it at Toad's Place?
I think so.
For myself, definitely.
I think
the first time we ever played Toad's Place, I literally remember the after the second song, looking at the crowd, looking over at Dan, walking over to Wes, and going, "This is really happening right now. This is
crazy.
actually real," and almost crying into the second song, no joke.
So as a pop punk band, you guys are always going to be compared to like the gods of pop punk, like Green Day and Blink 182. So what do you guys do to try to set yourselves apart from those bands?
Can I
We've-
comment on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I have a good way of saying it. So basically, Eric is really crazy with all of the different beats that he wants to do. So like depending on his beat, it can completely change a song from the root up. And then after that, Wes and Dan, Wes is more of a modern, like pop punk or whatever you want to say. He's into more modern music, I feel like. As with Dan's more into the older styles, slower but still really heavy songs. And then I'm a metalhead at heart, so I always want the song to go faster. I always want it to be harder. And like usually one of my questions I always ask is, what's the feeling you're trying to get from this song, and how is the crowd actually going to react to this song? Are they going to sit there and bob their head, or are they going to want to punch somebody in the face? And you need to know that before you start crafting everything else. Because you can have a song that's pretty simple, like 10 years, that's really fun and energetic, but then we have songs that are coming out like this one we're going to play tonight, Outgrow, that just has this crazy breakdown at the end that just makes you want to jump or do something. There's so much energy in it that you don't want to stand still. You want to do something. It makes you want to do something. Whether it feels awkward because you're in the crowd, is a different story, but, it gives you that feeling every single time.
Well, I'll be the guy jumping because I'm a I'm a crazy mosher metalhead too myself. So just like last question for you guys. After Battle of the Bands, you win, you lose, whatever. But what's next for you guys? New albums, more live shows?
We're working on, I guess you'd call it, it's not really an album, but it's just pretty much a large EP.
selection of
It's
songs.
selection of songs.
Six,
like
six,
songs.
yeah,
songs.
7
So,
songs.
is it 7? Oh, intro with intro.
Yeah.
with intro. Yeah, so we have that coming. We're gonna come out with that by July is our goal. July, like a fourth weekend around there.
And I definitely feel like this whatever this is going to be that's coming out is definitely a true musical step, because not only is the music slightly changing in terms of its sound or its feeling or whatever you want to say about it, but also we're really looking at what do bands do when they come out with something big. Do they just, stick with the same logos? Do they have the same look? Do they have the same sound? And most bands don't. So like we are looking into new marketing materials. We are looking into new logos. We are looking into what is our cover going to look like? What does it represent? How does it represent us? How are people going to feel about it? Do people want to wear that? Is it cool? Is it something that we can individually respect? Or is it something that's just purely, we're putting it out there thinking, okay, this is a product that we need to sell, and that's all it is. And like, there's bands right now that if you look in the scene, that there's a lot of things going on where people are going one of two ways, where they are going either very marketing commercial, or they're going more in a direction of what matters to you. And is this really what you're trying to do, or are you literally just trying to make money off of it?
Yeah, I think when we do these 6 songs in July, I think it's going to be a perfect representation of who we are as a band. I think the first stuff we've done was kind of like an imitation in a way.
Definitely.
Not like carbon copy, but like an imitation of like our influences and stuff. And I think that we've gotten over that step, and the stuff that we're going to be putting out is definitely going to be a really good representation of us.
A lot of it for myself is learning how to write a song. From start to finish, or from start to now, I have progressed a lot as a songwriter, as far as like where I start with writing a song, what it's about, and pretty much simplifying things when I was overcomplicating things. It's just there's been a lot of learning. So I think, like he said, it's a good representation of where we are as a band and where we're headed.
If you followed us since Without You,
Yeah.
this is going to be a huge step. And this is going to be really something that I think is going to feel substantial. It's going to feel like growth. It's not just going to be another song that we put out. It's really going to feel like growth, and you're going to be able to hear it in everybody's performance, in everybody's attitude, in everybody's look, everything about it.
All right. Well, thank you, Sunday Morning, for allowing me to interview the first real band I've actually interviewed. So thanks for the opportunity. And everyone there, check out their music.